back here on our program, and Bianca Nygard always brings excellent guests to us, and I learn a whole lot from these young people you bring from time to time.
Thank you. I'm so proud of them. There's so much talent in the Bahamas, and I've been following Bahamian Trae. Everybody, my daughter and my son and everybody listened to him so much, so I couldn't help but know who he was, and I was just so proud that here it is, this 15-year-old on stage doing this, making these hit songs. He's always been on the radio, and I mean, it must feel incredible for everybody to know all the words to your songs.
Trust me, and it was so crazy because I was just explaining that to someone yesterday, that there's literally no feeling to me when I'm on stage and I would say, "You can't," and put the mic back out there, and like hundreds, it was times where it was thousands saying, like that's just a great feeling, and I'm probably gonna be doing this years and years and years to come, because I just love being on stage, and to see the support from my people is definitely so appreciated, because people make it seem as if our people doesn't want to support us or they don't support us, but I wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for the support of not only my peers but also people older than me and people who have been in the game, who, you know, showed that support. And all it did for me was motivate me even more and more and more to achieve more and to strive for more.
And you started when you were 15, you say?
Yes, sir.
So your inspiration was people like Ronnie Butler?
Definitely, believe it or not, because like I would call myself an old soul, because I
An
can
old
tell
soul?
Yes, sir, because it's a lot of old music. I can tell you about music. The music that I listen to, I am a really big fan of George Simenet, Charlie Adams, and people like Richie Delamore, and these are names you know, right? Exactly. And I went back to people like Blind Blake and hearing the music, even Calypso Mama, and hearing where it came from. And that was like 1950, you know what I mean? And hearing that music to me was just like, wow, because I just love music and I appreciate it so much. And hearing that sound, because I know it couldn't have just been Rake and Scrape, or it couldn't have just started Rake and Scrape. It had to have been something before that. So I started to do some research, and I fell in love with the older music and people like Ronnie Butler, and people like him. And I also met Phil Stubbs, and he gave me a pointer, and he said sometimes you have to go back to see where you are at now, you know what I mean, and so that you can move forward. That was what he told me when we spoke, when I traveled to Freeport, and it made me do even more research and get just deeper. And I always appreciated music for what it was, not, because there's an old person I wouldn't listen to it. No, I'm listening to it to appreciate it for what it is. And that's how I always was when it came to, the music, especially ours. You know what I mean? As a Bahamian.
No, it's amazing that you listen to Blind Blake and
Trust me,
George Simenet.
All of them.
And people
All
such.
of them.
Because people in your age bracket,
They probably don't know them names.
exactly, they wonder what you're talking about, just like I didn't know Bahamian Trae,
Yeah. I owe a lot of that to my dad too, because when they would play the music on certain radio stations, I would ask, who's this? And then I would get even more interested in it to know about it. And like just simple songs. I remember the first time I heard 8 Babies, 8 Babies by George Simenet. Woman left me behind, 8 babies to mine. I was like, this is a Bahamian? What is from, what? And I just wanted to know more. Who else was it around that time? And I just did more and more research, and I don't know why I like the music or why people would probably not want to. They probably it's just to bridge the gap. That's all it is. Like, where they feel like, they can't relate to it, or, you know what I mean? But for me as a musician, I said to myself, if this is something that I want to do, I want to become a student of the game, and I want to get the history on where we came from, what is it that they had to go through, and the environment they came from, and just how it was for them. Because to my knowledge, it was the music industry at that time was like a big deal. They used to perform in the Royal Victoria Hotel and stuff like that, and it was like they were like superstars apparent according to my dad when it came to them coming to shows and stuff like that. And I heard at the time too, Nassau was like Vegas, so the nightlife was hype, and you would go to these different places with King Eric and his Knights and stuff to see them perform, and these were like the go-to things to do. You know what I mean? And I also wanted to know too, like from the past, who was it that had the ability to say break through what we thought we weren't able to break through, like people like T Connection who hit the Billboard. When I found out about T Connection, I was like, wow, we actually have the ability to do these things. And from at that time, that was like the 80s. T Connection was like the 80s. So if in the 80s, if we have the ability, if we have the talent here to say, go worldwide, why is it that we feel like we probably can't do it now? Or why is it we feel like our industry can't make it happen now? Why? If we have people that did it before, King Eric and his Knights, he has music in movies. His music was in the Blues Brothers movie. I think that's what they call it? The something Brothers. Yeah. It was a movie. His music was in it. And finding all this different knowledge about the people who were at the forefront of our culture, because I would say they were at the forefront because it was Gombe first, and then it was Reagan Scrape. And even if you listen to Gombe, the elements that they had in these music, you can hear how old it is and how simple it was. You could hear the big bass guitar. You might have thought it was a scraper, but it sounded like they used to use maracas at that time.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So simple things. Blind Blake, he used to play his banjo.
Yes.
And then I just got so fascinated with that. You know what I mean? And to know that also, I'm sure that it was a struggle for them, like in their daily life, how it was at that era in the 1950s. It was a struggle for them. So for them to still be pursuing their passion, you know what I mean, through it all, and then representing the culture at the same time, that's something to...
Oh, they were great pioneers of,
you know what I
the
mean?
culture.
That's what it is.
And there were big stories behind what they sang, what they wrote. Run Come See Jerusalem.
Joseph Spence.
Blind Blake. He's
on that one too. Joseph Spence sang that one over too.
He was singing about the big hurricane of 1929 hurricane.
And George Simenet did one called, at least Blind Blake did that too, where he did Dale You're Gone, about the lady who, not lady, she was a child.
Yes.
But that, you know about that.
Right.
Yeah, and they used to speak about these things, and just like you were saying, storytelling. That's all they did, storytelling.
Folklore, really. So music, Bahamian music has evolved over the years in a big way, to the point where people are not writing and singing as not Joseph Spence, but Blind Blake and George Simenet and all the rest of those did way back then. KB has done quite a bit, yes, from another generation.
Yeah.
Well, I think that Bahamian Trae really did a good job bridging that gap with the song with Ronnie Butler, because if children in your age were not familiar with him for some reason, they definitely were now.
Afterwards.
And then the same with the adults not being familiar with Bahamian Trae, and then now finding out who is this young man on this track with Ronnie Butler, you know?
I think that song definitely did it for the culture for real, because a lot of people started to appreciate it for what it is. And it wasn't just a track. It was bigger, just by what you explained, it was bigger than that. It was, it was to bridge that gap. So it definitely did that afterwards, because just like you said, people who, I used to get mad to figure out that they didn't know, but I was like, this is who this is. Y'all need to know who this is.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was the same way from the other end where it was like, this young man and, So it definitely did it for the culture where it would make them appreciate it more and appreciate the ones who were before us more. And that's definitely how I stand for it when it comes to music. Because I want to appreciate the ones who were there before. Because I just want to know, get the knowledge on how just anything would, if I could speak to anybody. I just was talking to you yesterday about how you guys interviewed Peanuts Taylor. Mm-hmm. I would love to just sit and have a conversation with him forever. If I could sit down a whole day and hear him just speak, mm-hmm. I would listen to him talk all day because I want to know what he had to go do, where he's been, how he's, and the mindset that I just want to know, because this is something that I want to do. Mm-hmm. So if this is something that I want to do, I want to know the things that I have to go through or the things that I have to expect, or you know what I mean? So, I respect that. I respect them to a very high level.
People in your age bracket, though, in the main, do they have an appreciation for Bahamian music, the essence of Bahamian music?
I would definitely say they do. Believe it or not, I would say they do. All it is because it's not, at least I wouldn't say it's not. It used to not be pushed the way that it needed to be. And I saw an interview with Ronnie Butler before where he said, it was at a point in time where they only used to play reggae and stuff on the radio stations and they never used to play the Reagan straight music. Now, if you don't push the music, how would you expect anybody to get used to it and appreciate it? Because let's think about it. Right now, the mainstream music, right? We only think we like it because we're hearing it over and over and over and over. So if we was doing that same thing with our music from a long time, we would have had that appreciation from a long time. You know what I mean? And now since we starting to wake up some more, because you will definitely, if you turn on the radio, you will definitely hear good handful of a lot of different Bahamian music and artists who are coming up and artists who have been here. Everybody is getting their fair share of their appreciation once they put in that work. If they push themselves, they are able to reach the masses now. I don't think it's difficult now for someone to say, if this is something that you're passionate about and you want to get yourself out there, I don't think that it's something difficult. Especially if you already know in your mind that if you love something, you're going to have to go through that process of hard work. Okay. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, Bianca, let's listen to what is it? Thief?
Yes. It's a humorous song about stealing.
Yeah, this one
thief.
Was about, a thief.
Okay, let's take a listen to the lyrics of Thief.
This is a serious fella, man. Don't sleep on him.
I ain't gonna sleep on him.
Seriously, don't sleep on this boy.
Yes, sir.
He ain't got no heart at all. And they say thief from thief, God smile. I believe.
My mommy tell me that before.
I think he believe in that.
Brand new phone, can't find that. Time now, I just buy that. Oh Lord, brand new television, new Jordans, gone missing. This way then sell my things. Cash for gold, got all my chains. Leave your things, trying them not so lost. He'll thief the Lord off the cross. My gal can't find her rings. But don't lie, but you know it's you, king. He just come out of jail last weekend. But he done been all over being. This boy then snort 3 lines. Make the punch like 15 times. No job, he rob instead. Then you good for that with he picky, yeah. Real talking team so tough. Then thief up all my stuff. When they catch me done for good. Hold on and think he has something in the bush.
I ain't saying the boy does thief. That's what you think. I just telling you all don't sleep. Better not. And I ain't saying the boy is fast. Let me tell you. I just telling you watch your. Ask me about the boy walking up the hill with a full tank of gas on his shoulder. And you know something wrong with that. Yeah, the boy got issues.
Yes, sir.
And he does lie. And I know he does lie. And you know what your ma say?
Well, what she say?
A lie is a thief and a thief is a murderer.
It's real talk, Ronnie.
Amen to that, brother.
My old lady home one day, baking one Johnny cake. I say, mommy, let me get a little taste. She tell me go find one plate. Come back up in that empty. The spider and thief from Freddy. He nearly took one load, but he ran down Burma Road. The spider and thief on my hat, on my new phone, and I just buy that. He thief some sauce off my line. That's my girl, oh my dad, even mine. rockin' on the blue. Brand new belt and a brand new shoe. I'm flossy deep, my go-to. Tell me, Mr. Butler, what I can do?
I ain't saying the boy does thief.
Man, you all easy what I
I just telling you all don't sleep.
That's how good he is.
And I ain't saying the boy is fast.
Let me tell you.
I just telling you watch your. You might invite him to your house, but that boy don't play. You can be sorry. Trust me, you can be sorry. You invite him to your house, you wake up the next morning, everything gone.
What?
Yeah, that's how much this boy is thief. Charlie Brown is the second warning.
Yeah.
If you can invite him to your house, you better hire security. Hire two security, one to the front door and one.
Yes, sir.
I telling you, yeah, you got to do it. You better do it.
Yes, sir.
I know the boy. If you invite him to the Thanksgiving dinner, he had to eat sausage till he gone. For you? Oh, God, don't make me laugh. Oh, Lord, I'm waiting. He ain't got no, and he ain't got, boy ain't got no shame. He'll thief the ex or the exile. Boy ain't got no shame. The boy is thief. Ronnie Butler telling you that. Touch it, it's gone.
That is Bahamian Trae, and they performed Teef.
Yes, sir. That was-
T-E-E-F, eh?
Yeah, man. You know, that's how we used to talk. So that's how you gotta spell it. You can't say thief. We don't say thief.
Right.
You're a thief. No, we don't say that. We don't say that.
Yeah.
Thief. You're thieving. You're
Yeah.
a thiefer.
And so you enjoy doing that with Ronnie? Eh?
Definitely enjoyed that, and we actually got a chance to perform it once, and before he passed at Iraqi a few years ago. Before he passed, we got to do it one time, and you know that was such an honor. Like I said, doing the track was an honor, and definitely being on stage with him was an honor, because I know there's a lot of things that he did that, you know, we were to appreciate. I think he has a Medal of Honor for something. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I know he has a Medal of Honor for something.
You think the musicians, especially the young ones, get the recognition that they deserve in the country? I'm not talking about the senior citizens. I'm talking about young
younger
people
ones?
like yourself and Julian Believe and D. Mac and
When
Sammy
you say
Starr.
the recognition you deserve, what do you mean? From the people, or
yes.
the recognition like worldwide?
From the Bahamian people.
From the Bahamian people. I feel like we definitely do get the recognition, because with these devices now, you can put yourself out there. You can, you can send your music to the radio stations and stuff like that. And like I said, there's definitely a lot of artists coming up right now, and I don't want to make you feel bad, but it's probably because you're not really in the mix with how some of the younger kids who, you know, trying to do it. But there's so much. Trust me, there's so much people trying to do it right now.
You don't expect for me to be there, right?
I mean, you know, that's life. But I'm saying, like, they getting their recognition, but I feel like, you know, in time there's the process that you have to go through. It depends on what you claim as accolades. If you say, okay, I'm gonna get to this level, and then after this I'm gonna go here, and then go here, and go here. But it's what you consider to be, you know, a move. If you feel like, okay, once I get my music on the radio and I get my music video and I put it on YouTube and it gets this amount of views, I feel like, okay, now I'm getting the recognition I deserve. Or once you do a few shows, okay, now I'm starting to get the recognition I deserve. And like I said, there are a few artists that are coming out right now who people are big fans of. Shout out to people like Twin Dem and people like Leon, and, you know, they are, you know, making moves amongst our peers, and they have people that are supporting them, and people who definitely appreciate them for their music. People like Judah the Lion, those and stuff. Like, people love their music, and it's all about everybody saying to ourselves that, okay, it's not even about, okay, because he's making music, we must support him. It's just knowing that, okay, once we stick together and we know that if he's like, if give it a chance, like MD said, God rest his soul, you know, I saw a video he did where he was just saying to give it a chance instead of just knocking it for, you know, because that comes from the black crab syndrome, because you seeing someone starting to get to a certain level, you feel intimidated now, or you feel like, oh, you feel like he's, or whatever like that. But it shouldn't be like that. It should be where you know, say, okay, this dude, he's doing things, and he actually has good music, because people would deny the fact that your music is good just because they see you making something happen. And it shouldn't be like that.
You should seek to empower each other and work with one another.
Exactly. Seek to empower each other and work with each other. And when people, and I feel like too with the artists, if people would see that unity amongst each other, then they would receive us better. Because I don't think that for me, I shouldn't feel like, oh, I'm too big of an artist to work with this artist, or to even hail this artist. Like, coming into the game, I seen a few people who had, you know, certain vibes or whatever like that, but I didn't ever let it affect me in any kind of way. But it just was the culture that I came into. So I realized where it was certain people where they would just have a certain, or they feel like it should be a certain way. You know what I mean? Where, oh, I can't tell him that song good because I is me. So I can't tell him his song sound good because I is me. Like, it shouldn't be like that. Other countries, these people are working together and they're working in unity. The other day I was at a show doing a show with the carnival. They was doing like a little cool, a fete. It was a fete. And it had something to do with carnival, so it was a fete. And they brought some artists over from around the Caribbean. And it was one spell when 3 or 4 of them hop on stage together. And all of them are different international artists, and it was one spell where they came and they sung this one dude song, I think it was Family. And Family, Lele. 3 of them went on stage and they all went together and they were singing the song. And
Family Lele.
and they came, that ain't their song, you know. But they went there with them and they were performing the song. You know, straight off the top, you wouldn't see that from artists over here. They'll stand up backstage and just watch you. Or guess what? That artist who on stage don't want you on their stage. You know what I mean? Or they want to open up before you so they could, or have a certain kind of artist. It shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be like where you feel your ego so much that you feel like you know what I mean? It shouldn't.
But most artists, they go on these ego trips, eh? They have big egos.
It's good to have confidence, you know. It's good to have that confidence in yourself, but when you start to see people with a certain kind of attitude, I feel like that's where you start to see people who, I always say, when it comes to people in this game, I look at this like a subject in school. If it was, you know, math or English or any other, you know, subject, since this is music, you are, no. Instead of using the subjects, let's use careers. A firefighter or a police officer. For that job, I don't think you would become a police officer if you don't really love that job. That is a job that you know it takes certain sacrifices, which is, okay, you could potentially go out today and get shot. Now, someone like me who don't want to be a police officer, I'd say, I ain't trying to be a police officer because that ain't me. But someone out there is so passionate and that is something that they only could see themselves doing, being a police officer. And they'll put that love and that passion into it, that, you know, because that's what they want to do. So when it comes to music, I don't feel like you should bring your ego into it if this is something that you really want to do, because this is not the place for that. You see what I'm saying? Okay. It's not the place for that. It doesn't ever work, because now when you start to show your ego, that's when it starts to separate. Music should be unity. Music should be where you come together. Music is something that every human resonates with. You know what I mean? Because from we were children, nursery rhymes, that's music, rhyming, all of these stuff. The way we walk with a rhythm. Believe it or not, you might think you don't walk with a rhythm, but you're walking with a rhythm. Everybody has music in them, and it's just in us as humans. So I feel like you shouldn't ever bring a negative vibe when it comes to music. So if you bringing that into it, that's where you realize that that person probably isn't in it for the interest, for the love of it. They probably in it for the interest of the fame or the money or whatever like that, or any other thing other than the love of it. Because if you ain't in it for the love, then that's where you will see where people will fall short.
You're not driven by money in your profession?
No, sir.
It's only for the love?
If it was for anything other than the love, I wouldn't have been doing it.
I see. Okay, let's take this final break here on our program, and we'll come right back.